Hi, I'm Laura. I am the outreach manager with the Merck Co+op, and we are launching a new series called Kitchen Basics, where I'm going to walk you through everything you need to know to start cooking at home. This first episode is about reading a recipe, and if you are brand new to cooking, this is a good way to both learn dishes you've never made before, learn techniques that maybe you're not familiar with, and it's going to ensure that the dish that you have in mind turns out like you expect. And that's only going to encourage you to continue cooking. So I'm going to walk you through a couple recipes as examples to show you things to look out for and what to kind of expect as you're planning. And that way we're setting you up for success for cooking at home. So, the first recipe I'm going to share with you is penne with green beans and pesto. This is from our Welcome to the Table website. It's got lots of recipes, and this one is called a high five recipe. It's just got 5 ingredients. It's a great place to start if you're new to cooking. And so the total time is something you'll keep in mind, and your active time. And active time is just how much time you'll actually spend handling the ingredients. And then the number of servings you have. So if you need to plan on making more or less, this is a good way to measure how much you'll have. Now, our ingredients are usually laid out in the order that you'll find them in the preparation instructions. In this case, it's good to note we are chopping our green beans, we're rinsing and drying our white beans and our red peppers. We have prepared pesto sauce. So that just kind of gives you an idea of what's coming out. And I would recommend setting those things out when you start so you know you have what you need and you're prepared for steps as they come along. Next, we're going to walk through the preparation. In this case, we need to prepare our pasta first. So we're putting on a large pot of water to boil it, adding salt, always a critical part of boiling pasta. While that's boiling, coming to a boil, you're going to trim your green beans and set those aside. Then you're adding pasta to your boiling water according to the package directions. So in the case of penne, it's about 10 minutes. Be sure to check that so you don't have overdone noodles. And this is the critical part. You're adding your green beans to the pot for the last 5 minutes. So if you hadn't read the recipe in advance, you might miss this critical step, and then you'll have overdone pasta if you try to add your green beans later. So it's always a good idea to read the recipe through a couple times through. So now you're setting that aside in your strainer. In that same pot, you're going to add the rest of your ingredients, your white beans, your pesto. You're going to add all of the things back together, warm it through, and serve it. So a pretty straightforward recipe, pretty quick. I wanted to show you a one that was a little more complicated, just so you have a sense that even though it might seem a little more intimidating because there's more ingredients and there's more steps, it comes down to the same process as we're reading it through. This one takes a little bit longer, only 35 minutes of active time, but at 90 minutes total, this might not be a quick one for you to choose. Our ingredients are laid out the same way in the order they appear in your recipe. You're going to notice we need frozen corn in this way. It's not thawed in advance, just frozen. We've chopped our scallions. We have some crumbled sage and some shredded cheese. So in the same way, we are preparing all of our ingredients for use before you begin. You're laying them all out, and that means in this case you need cooked squash. That's going to take 25 to 30 minutes in your oven. While that squash is baking, you're going to prepare your rice. Then your squash hopefully has enough time to cool out just a little bit. You're leaving just a little on the sides. You're adding together the rest of your ingredients in a separate bowl, and then you're putting them back into their shells and baking it with the cheese on top. So just a few more steps, not a lot more active time, but this again illustrates some things that you're going to want to keep an eye on as you're reading your recipe to know what's coming and make sure that your dish turns out exactly as you intend. So I hope this helps you think through as you're exploring new recipes, the sorts of things you should keep an eye on as you're reading them, so you're set up for success and you have meals that you